So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Today we're going to be talking about a new sick leave law out of California. Governor Newsom just signed an increase to sick leave from 3 days to 5 days. So let's get right into it. The bill was authored by Senator Lena Gonzalez, and falls short of the 7 days that they were looking for. Unions are happy about it. Ingrid Valorio, a Jack in the Box worker, has said now workers will no longer have to worry about how to make the month's rent or how to keep food on the table while recovering from illness or caring for a loved one. So my experience is kind of two parts. For one, most companies will simply just turn a PTO day into a sick leave day, right? The majority of companies do have some sort of vacation, and as a result, they'll just take from the vacation to give to the sick leave, and now you can use it at a moment's notice. And ultimately, this system typically gets abused. The workers who need it who actually need it rarely miss and aren't missing much anyway. The ones who don't will use it as a day that they can call out to play Sega or whatever. I say Sega, but that's kind of anachronistic. Regardless, point is that my experience has been that generally speaking, sick leave days don't exactly impact anything. The proponents argue that it'll help curb the spread of diseases and make sure employees can be productive at work. Again, I've never seen this happen. It really doesn't impact that at all. People who want to work will work. People who don't want to work will work, or who don't will not work. Andrea Zender, who's from Local 324 of the United Food and Commercial Workers, said 5 paid sick days is in a step in the right direction, and workers will be less likely forced to risk their livelihoods to do the right thing and stay at home when they're sick because of this bill. Again, they were looking for 7 days in the original bill. This moves to a full week worth of sick leave. And to be clear here, paid sick leave is really expansion. I mean, it's not. So I mean, you can also care for a family member who has a medical diagnosis in treatment or on preventative care. So it isn't purely whether or not the employee themselves is sick. The caveats with it do have time frames. You have to work for the same employer for at least 30 days within a year in California, and you have to have a 90-day employment period. So it doesn't apply to those employees who are new hires, which again, if you're going to put forth these proponents, the idea that, all right, these people shouldn't be coming into work, I don't know why they would, in theory, have to work a 90-day employment period, except for the fact that it's not really about that at all, right? In Newsom's statement, he said that too many folks are still having to choose between skipping a day's pay and taking care of themselves or their family members when they get sick. I'd like to see the actual numbers around that because, again, vacation is sort of ubiquitous across the nation. There are, of course, some employers who don't, but those are a really small minority, if I had to guess. What I thought was more interesting, I think, that came out of this was that Newsom vetoed a bill banning caste discrimination. He cited laws saying that California law already prohibits ancestry discrimination, which makes the bill unnecessary. It would have made California the first state to explicitly ban caste discrimination, although I know that it's banned in Seattle as well as I think Urbana, Urbana-Champaign in Illinois. It's a big setback for the activists who've been pushing for it for a while. The legislation was targeted at the caste system in South Asian and Hindu immigrant communities by adding caste as a protected class. It was introduced and authored by Aisha Wahab, who's an Afghan American. India outlawed caste discrimination over 70 years ago, but yet several studies in recent years show that bias persists. One study found people from lower castes were underrepresented in higher jobs. In addition, another thing that Newsom vetoed was a bill that allowed striking workers to get unemployment checks. This is actually pretty surprising for me. I wonder if it was somehow tied to the $20 an hour fast food minimum wage, because I believe it was New Jersey that signed this just fairly recently, and so Governor Newsom vetoed a bill on Saturday that allowed workers on strike to become eligible for unemployment insurance. When he responded to it to the California State Senate, he said that the state already had a really high unemployment insurance debt, and it's not collecting enough in taxes to support the fund, making the unemployment insurance vulnerable to insolvency, which is what happens if you give everyone unemployment regardless of the nature of their termination. Newsom went on to say Any expansion of eligibility for UI benefits could increase California's outstanding federal unemployment insurance debt, projected to be nearly $20 billion by the end of the year, and could jeopardize California's benefit cost ratio add-on waiver application, significantly increasing taxes on employers. Very interesting here. I think that this is absolutely critical. It seems that the state can no longer sort of support the crushing regulations that have been put on its businesses. He writes again, furthermore, the state is responsible for the interest payments on the federal unemployment insurance loan, and to date it's paid $362 million in interest, with another $302 million due this month. And he says it's not the time to increase the costs or incur this sizable debt. And that's pretty big because right now, California has a lot of people on strike. There is the SAG-AFTRA strike did end, but you also have the Southern California hotel workers. You also have the Kaiser Permanente workers. So you have a lot of people on strike right now, and Newsom says they can't afford it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. This sort of fiscal conservatism on the part of Newsom is eye-opening. It seems that they are unable to support the continuous laws that get put on California businesses, and something might be breaking soon. Let me know in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.